juntos, somos una familia.
Ella no tiene familia.
Ella es mi hija, o sea, mi hijastra con su mamá.
Su mamá, ¿de dónde es mamá?
Venezuela, todos somos de Venezuela.
So he's from Venezuela. You speak Spanish, right?
Yeah.
I think he's telling me that's his wife's daughter. Not his daughter, but his wife's daughter. Can you ask him? Clarify that for me?
¿Es tu hija?
No, es mi hijastra. Yo la estoy criando desde chiquita.
¿Y dónde está la mamá de ella?
Ese fue que la llevaron de emergencia porque me está dando a luz.
¿Y la mamá de ella son tu esposa o qué
Mi
es?
esposa, pasé selva, sí pasé la selva.
What was he saying about his wife?
He's saying that his wife was pregnant, that her water broke, and that's why.
Here?
Yes, here, on this side,
Like
while they're waiting
today?
here. Right, just right now.
After she swam across
Right,
the river?
this morning. That's why National Guard, they took her obviously to the hospital to get her medical treatment. So to be that far in your pregnancy, right, they had to know more or less, okay, when she was going to give birth in order to cross on this side and have the child here in the U.S.
Is that baby a citizen now?
Chances are yes, because the child's going to be born here. And we see that a lot with a lot of pregnant females that are coming across. They'll wait usually when they're about to give birth, and then they'll cross into the United States because then they'll have the baby that same day, or they'll have it like right at the river as they're crossing. More likely they cross somewhere here, just under this little incline right here.
Were these people who were evading, or they wanted to get?
No, they want to get caught. They want to get caught. Yeah.
So he knows that he's fine.
They know the system. Obviously, they're looking for border patrol because they know the process already. Come across, look for the green uniform, turn yourself in, and more likely, chances are you're going to get released into the country. But that's the problem too, is that they use the children in those type of situations, right? Because they know obviously there is a human side to us, and we see children, but they do use the children for that. To try to get across.
I can imagine bringing a 3-year-old.
Well, especially coming across this river. I mean, look at it. It's very strong. It's very dangerous. And that's why in this area here alone, we average a drowning a day.
You probably see this island and make it safer.
The thing is too, there's no way to determine it. The only way you're gonna know is just by walking. It's maybe just about shoulder height for an average person. And then they'll get to the island here, and then they'll find another little route to get across. But there's no way of knowing, one misstep, I mean, it's gonna take you under, or the current's gonna take you. And especially with a child. And there's really no way for them to even try to, rescue that child because the current's so strong.
I mean, they have to be freezing.
Yeah, especially crossing this river. I understand they're desperate, right? But they're really placing their children in danger, especially crossing a river. And not only that too, then you're paying a criminal, a smuggler in Mexico to get across too. So there's a lot of concerns with that in general, and that's why, because of the federal government and what they're doing right now, they really don't acknowledge the fact that it's okay for people to cross a river with a child, right? To them, it's fine. They ignore that issue, but when it's involving the state of Texas, when we put up barriers, well, that's inhumane, or that's cruel. But yet we're trying to prevent people from crossing so we don't see situations like this, so we don't have anybody drowning, especially children. We're the only ones really trying to prevent that, and yet the federal government hasn't done anything as far as trying to prevent illegal crossings between ports of entry.
Well, this is supposed to be deterrence, and they're seeing it from this side, yet he still came. So
right.
What was his calculation?
The challenge is that, yes, they see the barriers, but when they know for a fact, all I got to do is defeat this, or wait it out for hours, and I'm going to get released into the country. And they know that because they've heard it from other people that have done the exact same thing, that are in the country right now, that have gone through the process. So we're up against that battle, trying to prevent illegal border crossings, but at the same time, you're challenging the federal government, who's continuing to incentivize, illegal immigration because of that. And that's why they'll wait it out for hours, because they know the system already. Just wait it out, or I'll use my child, and eventually they're gonna let me in.